Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari, and my guest this morning, well, we've got Mr. Sheyi Adeyemo. You know, he's smiling in his owl cap. You know, good morning, and thank you as always for coming.
Good morning,
Mr. Adeyemo is a publisher and public affairs analyst, and sitting right next to him is Mr. Demola Adogoke, communications expert and journalist. Thank you very much for coming on.
Good morning.
Indeed.
Good morning, Yori, and good morning, viewers.
Our pleasure, and our pleasure. Yeah. You know, I thought we might look at two matters for discussion this morning. On the one hand, this whole matter about our borders being closed. We know why they're closed, and let people do the needful, then we can open the borders up. But for now, the whole matter has come about whether no, it will now remain closed until what, January 2020, and is that what we're hearing?
That was what was first said.
Yes.
But the PRO of Customs has said no.
He has said no
to
that actually it's just this phase of the operation. Lord knows what that means. But that, no, the terminal date for the exercise
has not been determined.
or initiative has not been determined. And by the way, this now brings to the fore that some of our neighbors, apparently, who don't like the whole matter of the border being closed, have said that, look, and we're not even sure that we're going to show up at the Nigeria Trade Fair, you know, the way things are looking. Well, what do you think about that, Demola?
Well, let me start by saying that, you see, when an abnormal situation, you know, has persisted for so long, it starts assuming the status of normalcy. You understand? It looks like it's the normal thing. You see, for long, our neighbors have taken advantage of our own inability to get our acts right. And, you know, they have fleeced us, you know, so much, you understand, out of that. Now, it does appear that we are waking up, you know, from our slumber. We are waking up, you know, to the reality of, you know, taking our own destiny by our own hands. And of course, when you do that, your neighbor that has been a beneficiary of your own ineptitude, we surely, you know, we will surely kick.
Yes,
and so,
because they, from their point of view, well, wait, now it wasn't our fault that things were the way they were, and we were both, you know, enjoying. Well, that is the way they would see it. Now we're being hit because this has an economic implication for them.
It does. So it does for them. You understand? So our own loss before now, you know, had been their own gain.
Sure.
And now we are trying to reverse that order, and you know they are not. That is not so. That is not sitting well with them. It can't sit well with them.
Indeed. Okay, but Sheyi, we hear that actually some of those countries are already, you know, here. But maybe it's just an expression of how they feel. Or it might well be that, look, you close the border, how are we going to bring the goods that we want to exhibit? I don't know.
Like Adegoke said, it's only natural that they will react in the way
Mr. Adegoke.
Yes,
Demola
Adegoke said they react in the way they've been reacting because, you know, we've done for me, like a mother journey. That's what we've done, you know, committing suicide as a country economically, because we've opened up our borders. We talk about insecurity, and I keep asking myself, how in the world...
We didn't open up our borders. We just never closed them.
So how,
you know,
else
we just
would you
were
have
able, because I like the way he put it,
you
our
know,
ineptitude.
So how else would you have a safe country if our borders was as opened as it was? Look, there's no, as small as this studio is, you need to close the door so that interference will not come from outside. So for you to get the sound and everything in order, you must have this place sort of insulated from the interference from outside. So if we want to have a prosperous Nigeria, we must manage those who come in and go out. And so this is a normal thing, a normal step that Nigeria has taken. And I think what we should do as Nigerians is to encourage and challenge our government to ensure that this is seen to a logical end. In other words, whatever steps, I hear that the governor of Central Bank was giving a lecture in one of the graduations recently, and he said that we can't just open. there must be a process, because if we just open up whatever gains that we've sort of gotten from this closure, then would be eroded if we just open it up.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, let me report Sheyi to you, Demola. We are asking him about border. He went and was using sentences like, as small as this studio is. Who sent him that whack? Who sent him that whack? What is he trying to say?
Okay.
What exactly? No. It's okay.
It was a comparative. It was a comparative statement.
As small as this studio is.
No, compared to the size of Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Compared to the size of Nigeria.
Oh, Lord. But you see, I hear what he is saying, really. But and by the way, in my intro, I'd say that we'll be touching on two subjects. I don't believe I ever mentioned the second one. We just went into this one, we just sort of went into it. The other thing that we'll be touching on in the second half of the program, you know, presidential spokesman Malam Garba Shehu, he seems to have stirred the hornet's nest. He's made a statement, you know, among those things were that, well, it's Malam Garba Shehu, but you see, he is of the presidency. And so when people are going to speak, they're going to say, the presidency says. And in this case, it would mean that the presidency has said that unlike former heads of state, former leaders of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari is not interested in tips. He is not looking for what's in it for him and that kind of. Now, this has outraged quite a number of people, especially aides, you know, to former leaders. And so you might have seen one of the papers this morning where it's all out there. Say, no, that's a lot of nonsense. You can't speak like that. You know, why don't you just prove it, name them and shame them? So we'll come to that second half. For now, let's come back to our borders. You know, we're in our borders, one thing before the other. So if you're still around in the second half of the program, you might be able to comment on that. But borders to remain closed because they need to remain closed. And because of these two subject things, we'll open up the phones very, very quickly so you can get comments in both cases. Now, I believe why Nigeria is staying on this particular path is that it sees that, you know, we're beginning to get results.
Even in the short term.
We are.
Even though people are complaining about, well, there's no more rice, there's no more chicken. Come on.
You see, at every point in a nation's history, it has to decide whether it wants to make itself a dumping ground for every manner of good. It has to decide whether it wants to be able to assert its own authority as a sovereign nation. You understand? So and it also has to decide whether, you know, whether the country will place its own people, you know, at the mercy of others. At a point in Indian history, the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had to say, if India cannot clothe herself, let her go naked. Yeah. He had to say that. He said, if India, and he banned importation of textile materials. Yes, exactly. You understand? He said, if India cannot clothe herself, let her go naked. And that was the beginning of the textile revolution in India.
In India, absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah.
So what we need in Nigeria, you know, following your analogy, will be something of a taste revolution. What are those things that we have now, as you were saying at the beginning, have come to take for granted? And the moment it is stopped, we begin to feel deprived.
We begin to feel deprived, yes. You see, the thing is, one is not saying that everything is initially right now with the border closure. Yeah. But what we are saying is that a little resilience on the part of our people and government, the result will come.
Indeed.
The result will come.
Let me see what Mr. Emmanuel in Otukpo wants to contribute to the conversation. Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in. Good morning to you.
Good morning to your lovely guest in the studio.
Thank you.
Good morning.
About that closure.
Yes.
Yes. It's only natural that our neighboring countries will cry out the way they are crying.
I do.
It's like taking a feeding bottle from the mouth of the baby. The baby is going to cry hell. Yes. So, but my worry is how far will this go? Because this has to do with Buhari and his deputy, Osibanjo. By the time they leave office, if we are lucky and Sibanjo stays behind, thank God. But if two of them leave office, the continuity is my worry.
Yeah.
Because we cannot pretend that Obasanjo and all the others who have ruled before now, and Jonathan, were not aware of the leakage through our neighboring countries. It's like the proteges. We are making fat money from it, and they are getting the benefit. Why should they cry out and try to fight? Why are they combative with Shehu Garuba?
Oh, no, that one, let's not mix it up. We'll start that one at 11:01.
That's another
That's
issue.
the second topic.
No, about what I'm trying to say. I mean, just to run across it.
Yes.
So it's only Buhari that is allergic to public money. That doesn't want to steal public money. All the
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Manuel. I got to let go of you now because, you see, there's no how. Like, the proper thing to do was to tell you that we'll be talking about two things. And but now that I'm going to mention that other one, I can see Patience is wearing things. So let me get to that one. Please bear with us. We'll talk about that. But if that's the way it's going to go, if you people just decamp, as it were, from the border story and come on to that one, where our hands will be forced. But we'd rather just hear what you want to, what you think of the whole notion of the border remaining closed, the way we're looking at it beyond 2020 January. Yeah, it's going to continue. And anybody who is thinking that, okay, let us just manage until 31st of January 2020. No. As the spokesperson for Customs explained, that's just, not that I know the meaning of these phases, but he said, that's just about this phase. In other words, we're in this for the long haul. Which goes back to Mr. Emmanuel's comment that continuity. Say, fine. He seems happy to hear that, but will it be able to continue, transcending administrations? But why not? It's a good thing.
I must say that it's not about border closure per se. It's about proper management of our borders. Now, if you go into agreements and sign treaties, it is honors on you as a people to follow up with whatever you signed. So if your partners or your neighbors are reneging, it's your responsibility as a people to insist and say, this is what we have agreed on. And if you do not act appropriately on the agreement, we would ourselves not allow certain things. Now, they could come up with the fact that as a continent, we're gone into Africa, free trade thing and all of that. And those are things we need to be careful about. If we don't want those things to somersault, all of us, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Togolese, must clean up the house. And I must quickly drop this because you accuse me of calling the studio small. I've been to several studios. TV studio is probably one of the biggest studios I've ever been to in Nigeria. So it's not about this.
Thank you very much.
Comparison.
Thank you very much.
I needed to say
mention it. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Kamal in Ilori, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in. Good morning, sir.
Nice being with you.
Indeed, it's our pleasure.
I want to make a contribution.
Sure.
This border closure.
Yes.
I am very happy to find that during my time, my border is being closed. Because, yes, of course. 3 to 4 years back, I went to an interview. They asked me what can I do as an economist to do away with all these crises and issue of dollar crisis. I said I will close border. Okay. Why? Because if you look at the modern countries, like ASEAN countries, all these ASEAN, Malaysia, and their likes, when they do away with issue of development, the first thing they did was to close border. Even their president at that time, he had to use what was produced and developed in his country.
Okay. They
make an effort to do a policy with what they call for every single importation, there has to be 2 importations. Whatever they don't have the technology of it, they will import 1 species, study it, able to produce 2, at least sell them in an international market, because before they will bring about another importation. But we open up our border. Look at it. Everything is being imported into the country, and people are bitterly complaining. Why will you not make an effort to develop your country.
Exactly.
Very sad.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in with that comment. It's not business as usual anymore, and people didn't think it was going to happen because you pointed out that there have been previous leaders. Maybe they were too busy. Maybe there was too much on their desk. This particular one fell through the cracks. Now, here we have this situation. Just about everybody and their dog, so to speak, has complained about this once you are connected with the border, either business-wise or whatever. Because people, I mean, it's ridiculous.
And the taste orientation that you mentioned, I think that's critical. It's very critical because, look, at the end of the day, if we do not deal with what we like and taste, a good example is this rice. So the Beninese don't eat this rice.
They don't.
And that's a shame. So, as a people, they don't eat it at all. Now, if they don't eat it at all and that amount, that quantum of that rice goes there,
yes,
it means it is directly targeted at us.
We are the targets that Nigerians like fine things.
I mean, what is the size of Benin? One will ask.
And you bring all that rice in.
That will now make them the biggest importer of rice.
Of rice.
They have overtaken us.
It's ridiculous. But Mazi Okorafor, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, Mr. Demona. Good morning, Mr. Seyi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Honestly speaking, to me, as Okra for Party of Arochugo, you see, closer of border is okay. No qualms, no shaking. Now, Nigerians should start eating local food and save their lives from cancer. You know, there's one thing people don't understand. I was watching TV some minutes ago when I just came in from the lecture room. Now, what of the show that somebody was saying that was yesterday. That most of these things Nigerians see today, most of these diseases are being caused by human beings because the type of food you consume are the type of disease you should be expecting.
Yeah.
Now, you ask yourself, our forefathers, what were they eating? Were they eating rice from foreign land? These are locally made. At the end of it, you see them more healthier. You see, I was watching even the same television. What is it? You see the people that fought the 1914 World War. See, they're very healthy. Now, you ask yourself, why are they surviving? Because of the natural food they were eating. So, closure of border is health-wise, is good for us. Now, to let us say statistics, in terms of kidnapping, you see that the kidnapping incident have reduced. Listen, the people that are kidnapping, they know that if you are caught, the ammunition you have, they will confiscate it. Which means will you use now to bring in another one? See, that's another to number 3. That's number 3. Border still close is good. But the thing is this, you ask yourself, China closed their border for over 20-something years.
40.
The same China are the people that Nigeria are going out to borrow and bring it to Nigeria. And we are every day, China, I'm going to China. I will school in China that what for. You see, for you to move forward, just like you want to see heaven, you want to suffer. Somebody said that it's not to suffer. You must suffer first before that is to carry the cross. Let us carry the cross now so that our children will not suffer in future. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafor. This taste reorientation, we need it. Interesting point that Mazi is making. Yeah. What were our forefathers eating? Were they eating parboiled Chinese rice and all? So the taste, this whole thing about it's an important point.
And you see, our compatriots bother more, for aesthetics rather than, quality, and nutritional, quality of what they take in. Even as I was climbing up, I heard a young man say, let them improve on the quality of our own local rice. Quality now needs to be properly defined. Yeah. You understand? Because if something is over-polished and it looks made so artificial and it looks so fine, it does not mean that it's okay, for you.
Now, it's part of the whole taste reorientation thing. Because, I can understand some people. Now, if you are a patriot, if you're nationalistic and all of that, you probably might say individually that Ofada rice for me, for example. Just that little point.
We have decided in my
home, nobody will buy anything but Ofada. But the further rice. It's a handful here and a handful of the. It looks very, very different. Even though we know, I know, and you know the advantage.
Yes.
But there are those who will say that
no, it's not looking fine.
Yeah. This one reminds me of my grandmother. I used to have to pick rice.
Is that reorientation? And if we are very serious about it, look, one of the things we also need to know in this is the fact that all of those investors who have stayed back in their country, expecting us to come buy those things in their country, because we have the numbers, they will end up coming to set up those factories here.
Let them ahead, okay.
Because they know we're no longer coming.
We are no longer coming.
We're the market. And they would be forced to come here. It's happened several times. It happened with furniture. The Italians who had their factory set up in their country and we went to go purchase there, had to move here to set up those furniture companies.
Turkish, you know, they're also good. They're known for furnishing. They're also having factories here now.
Nigeria has got a population that is very, very active, that can buy.
Indeed.
You know, so we have the advantage. Let's take advantage
Indeed.
of it.
Charles, good morning and thank you for holding on.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I think it's like a good music that the border
is going to remain closed.
Yes, because as a nation, there is no way we can continue to what we are doing and surviving. But my only problem is that eventually, when the border is closed, what would we have done to be able to manage the border? Border closure is not enough. It's not sustainable. The management of it with modern technologies. I laugh when people, the customs struggle with the smugglers and everything. We can use technology to control the cross border. And eventually, our neighbors will comply with our policies. Because somebody has said there that when the present government leaves office, what is the guarantee that this
policy will remain in place?
Exactly. So I think there's policy somersault is another issue of our problem. But if we start entrenching certain things like the technology, the scanners across the borders, somebody can stay in a monitor and then get the porous borders.
Okay.
The Air Force is there. Dedicate Air Force or drones and everything that will...
I hear you, Charles. I hear you, Charles. The only part that I wasn't too sure about was when you said this is not sustainable. To who? To us or to them? So, you know...
So the sustainability I mean here is that the policymakers as the customs...
I see. You can't trust them. You can't go to the bank with it.
If
policy in Nigeria, you can't go to the bank with it.
If another party wins tomorrow, and then some of these people who are suffering, businessmen, who will be funding the party, and then will coerce the future government to open, they will do it.
I agree. Thank you very much for calling in. This reminds me of President Buhari, even though it's not the same at all in the electioneering campaign right up to his coming the second time. Remember, he had said that that look, when I was the military head of state at the time, the people I locked up, what happened? The next administration came in and he just let all of them go. So now that I'm a Democrat, we can't do things like that anymore. I'm going to be extra careful. So you people can make noise as much as you want. I shall be looking for the rule of law to follow. And if it's slow, I'm now a civilian and a Democrat.
He made a point, and at this point about, sustainability, and that the border closure is not the be all and end all of the whole thing. You see, there are other things, even at our own end. You see, like there has to be a well planned program of incentivization of local producers. You understand? We are talking of the Nigerian people talking about the quality of our own products. Yes, it is because we lack modern tools to produce things that will appeal to the consumer. We can incentivize the local producers.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Another angle that I have seen in this is that, from the background of a communicator, I have seen that, government did not engage the Nigerian public very well before going into this. You understand? You and I know while, that action, was taken. But the man, and woman in Ketu Market, in Oshodi, do they know? So one expects a lot of public engagement to have been.
I come along with your point, but sometimes you'll be surprised. I know what you're saying, but you'll be surprised sometimes that the market women and all of that, because they are, if you want, in that constituency, they would have been told what is going on. They might have been told emotionally.
Do they
not
understand?
officially. But why is there no more frozen chicken?
No, they
why
know.
is there no
They
more
know.
rice? They know it's because the border has closed. Then they know why.
Why?
So
Why was the border be closed? That is the question.
You're not too sure that they will understand?
They may not understand.
Okay.
They may not understand.
Well, so I think generally speaking, the good thing is that most right-thinking members of our society think it's good. Yeah. It's agree. We agree. Sorry, if those people don't want to come to our trade fair,
so be it.
We're sure they would even reconsider because we need each other. We need each other. But that border is going to be closed.
It should remain closed.
Okay, we've got to go on a quick break now so we can come and switch subjects. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about, as one paper puts it this morning, oh, I'm sorry, I got to take Mr. Oluwole calling in from Oshogbo. Okay, Mr. Oluwole in Oshogbo, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I'm really appreciative of what Buhari is even doing. I thank God on his behalf, because if the border is open, every nook and corner, everybody will just be pouring in. It's just as if you open the gate of your house. Anybody will just come in and pick whatever he likes without your consent.
You're right.
So I pray that this thing will be continual.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's not only that. If it is possible, we must build a wall. So make all these people,
like President Trump wants to build.
We should build a wall around Nigeria like Trump did.
No, he hasn't done it. He's still struggling with it.
God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oluwole. Thank you very much. Okay, let me go on that quick break that I said. Now, when we come back, we'll now look at the whole controversy over tips for contracts, ex-presidents. I'll see you soon. Okay, welcome back. And actually, I can still hear the phones are going off the hook. I think a number of other people wanted to contribute to the topic that we've just, well, we haven't really thoroughly thrashed it, but we can't always do that on a program like this. We want to move to the second part of our agenda today. And that's, the news that came out, well, when we say the presidency, maybe sometimes we can specify. Malam Garba Shehu, spokesman, one of the main spokesmen to the president, the other being Mr. Adesina. Now, Malam Garba had, in responding to criticism of the president, had said, among other things, one, the president can rule from anywhere in the air, or at sea, on land. Yeah, we understand that. But then he had also said something that some might find controversial, that unlike other presidents, that's all he said, unlike other presidents in the past, General Buhari is not interested in tips and what's in it for me and that kind of a thing. At the risk of, going beyond reporting, I was going to say that now that was plenty. That was something. That was going to get a reaction, the way Malam Garba Shehu allegedly phrased it. And since his medium, we're all in the same medium. Malam Garba Shehu is a journalist. I know him very well. We've worked together before. It was plenty. But that statement, and it is now being said that the presidency has said. Give me your thoughts first.
Yeah, I think as public people, media, and whenever we occupy a public office, we need to be careful what we say out there. And because sometimes we're not conscious of the fact that an interview is actually being carried on. So you go to a social gathering, and people come around you.
Malam Garba Shehu is not like that. He's a well-seasoned, veteran.
I understand.
I understand. And besides, he was putting out a statement. He wasn't being interviewed.
You see, truth of the matter is, I'm saying generally.
Okay.
The office of the president, for instance, is not an office you just speak to. So whether he's a past president or a sitting president, he was still or still is the president of Nigeria.
Indeed.
So when we sit here as public commentators or journalists or whatever we're doing, even when we're critical and we have a point that we're trying to stress or make, we better be careful the way we churn or use words. Because at the end of the day, it is to our detriment as a person that we have chosen a particular word or a particular narrative, because at the end of the day, that will be credited to you. Because I want to believe that if he had his way, now that all of this have happened, he probably would have used other words, definitely not the words he used.
But the whole idea, the very idea, Ademola, that former presidents were in the business of, wanting to be tipped. Things along the lines of what's in it for me. I don't know. First of all, maybe, can we establish that, was it, how does one put this? Can it be seen as an attack on former leaders, the way it is indeed being seen now, or is much more being made of it than perhaps the good Malam intended?
No, I don't think we can say that more is being made of it than it.
Because it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. You understand? There are no two ways to it. And let me maybe resort to this cliche in journalism that even maybe a 100 level student of journalism already knows that facts are sacred and opinions are free. And when in doubt, what do? You leave out. Anything that you cannot substantiate.
Exactly. That reminds me of Professor Samuel Tunde Samuel that comes on here. What cannot be substantiated, he's going to leave out. But Malam Shehu went as far as making as if he knew that used to be the practice, and General Buhari is not going to be part of that. So he doesn't waste time to do the needful.
So you see, sometimes reputation managers of public office holders, get overzealous, and then they do what they maybe in their bid to promote, to boost, the ego of their principal. They they go overboard, in the statements they make. I think this is one. This is one example of going overboard with the kind of information that you push into public space.
Public space, yes.
This is not that for me as a reputation and information manager. This is not, because if you cannot substantiate it, I expect an information manager of the caliber of Garba Shehu to know the implication of every letter of the statement of a statement of a public statement is sent out. I expect him to know.
And so if he was quoted accurately, because there's still that leeway of I was misquoted. That's not the way I put it. Because
like you said, let us bear in mind that this was a release.
Yes, as he does from time to time. Yeah. He was reacting, and that's part of his job, to criticisms of the president. I think there was, on the one hand,
it was not an off-the-cuff statement.
It wasn't. It wasn't. And that would have, been
it
something
wasn't
of a
an
leeway.
off-the-cuff statement.
But you see, sometimes these people make those kind of statements, and the rest of us, I wouldn't be surprised if the president didn't dissociate himself from the statement that, that particular one, I'm not too sure about that. First of all, the very idea, it doesn't even do us well by the time it is read all over the world.
By the
time they read it in Germany, South Africa. That is...
Which is why I think this is another opportunity that presents itself to us as a people to kind of raise the standard of those that end up occupying the presidency. And what I mean by that is, I think over the years, we've kind of reduced, the level of those we eventually even select from. Because you see, we all have gone to bed now, as it were. But for me, the next election is around the corner. What are we doing as a people to ensure that at the end of the day, we will not have people with less quality that would be accused or be even that insinuation will come around and be said off? Because I know a lot of Nigerians, a lot of great Nigerians that you would not even think of saying such things around them because of their credibility and their personality. I think it is high time as a people that we start to create a narrative about the level of people that even end up vying for public office in Nigeria. Because if we continue the way we do, we would always have arguments and controversies like this trailing some, because at the end of the day, it is about those who come up.
Because, and also let us also give it to Malam Garba Shehu. Maybe he knows stuff we don't.
It's possible.
Because the man is not an unserious person.
Will they be able to? Will they be ready to provide us?
So he's been told. Please name.
Yes. Good morning, Yakub. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
And good morning to your guys.
Sure.
Good morning.
I could have talked about the first topic, but now we are in another topic. But quickly, for me, my personal opinion to the first topic before I go to this one quickly.
Nigerians. This is the problem with Nigerians. We will find a way.
I'm sorry. It is very, the border will remain closed.
Okay.
But the only thing is that, do we want to continue it after 2023? That is the question.
All right.
But having said that, you see, I don't blame Garba Shehu, because Garba Shehu is doing his job. That is that. But if you're
Wait a minute. I hear you, sir. But what Malam Garba Shehu said doesn't put past Nigerian leaders in an excellent light.
Yeah.
The question is this. The president that we have right now, we are going to see is this. Some of us that supported this president, we know he's an upright person. We know him as a trust person. We know him that somebody that you can trust your resources with. You see, if president likes, he should talk to wherever he likes to travel to. But all what some of us believe is that he's not traveling to this country because he wants to go acquire all property that he can. See, the truth is this. Here in this country, we know, in 1999, without not mentioning anybody's name, we know some of our presidents that are ruling in power. We know where they are before they become president in this country. But today, if you want to mention 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 20 people in this country, you will mention them before 20. Being a rich person in this country. So, this is a president you see that goes to farm and giving a food to his cow. I give it to Mr. President because for me, that I don't say it the way he sees it.
Yeah.
But it is not left to Nigerian people to believe in him or not. But somebody like me, I believe in, and then I will continue to believe in because Mr. President is a good man and then he is open-minded to everything.
Okay.
He does not be a president to acquire wealth. How many houses did he have? Maybe 1 or 2 houses.
Sure.
And then if you can become a president in this country for a week, if you can be able to acquire so many where you win, because the environment permits you to do so. But this is a president, he does not even have more than 2 or 3 houses.
Sure.
It is so. But if I'm right, I think it's 2. But if I'm wrong, maybe it's 3. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you very much. I hear what you're saying. It's just that what must have shocked, I think I have the Guardian. No, it's not the Guardian. It's
the Vanguard.
It's Vanguard in front of me. And in case you haven't seen the Vanguard this morning, they actually led with that report. And Junaid Mohammed, for instance, Second Republic House of Representatives, politician, he said it's a cock and bull story. Prove it. Says IBB's spokesman. Call them to account, says Oshutoku. Name and shame them, says Afeni Ferry. And then presidency went too far, according to ABC Nwosu. And Shehu Sani is actually saying him. So, look, Yakub said maybe he's calling it the way he sees it. But this is in the area of diplomatese. I mean, I don't know. You know, it was quite uncomfortable when most people would have thought so.
You see, we said it already. Even if, well, maybe there are things Garba Shehu knows that we don't know. But from our own standpoint here, we want to say that if he's not able to prove this, this is rather, you know, too unwholesome, so to speak.
You know, because there's
coming from a level as high as that. And you see, it goes. So this statement just goes beyond, you know,
I didn't even think it was necessary. He could have made the point that President Buhari is, you know, he doesn't waste time in doing the needful, and he should have left it at that. Yeah. But the matter of now throwing shade,
goes beyond just
as
rubbing
American slang puts it, throwing shade the way of past presidents. Let me quickly bring in Mr. George so I don't lose him. Good morning, Mr. George.
Uncle Yori, good morning, and good morning to all there.
Thank you very much.
Uncle Yori, I'm wondering, I'm not seeing you anymore. NEPA has struck. I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
All right. I'm wondering why the statement is controversial. In what way is it controversial? Let us look at it critically. The president, the current president, has been a head of state before. Which business is he known to be running with money that cannot be explained? We have had other presidents or heads of state before who are running businesses that the sources of such funds are questionable. It is not in the case of the current president. True or false? If anybody says that it is not true, he should come up with proofs. I expected as abusive as they are against him, as much as people who are not in his camp are against him, I expected them all this while to come out with proofs to say, yes, you are also corrupt.
Yes. Nobody has been able to do that.
Nobody has been able to do that. Does he have a university that nobody knows how the money came? Does he have a multinational business that nobody knows how he's running the money, how he made the money?
Which kind of questions are you asking, Mr. George?
Yes, sir.
Which kind of questions are you asking this morning?
These are the questions to buttress what Garba Shehu is saying. Okay. This man is known not to take any government money. And that is what endears him to me as an individual.
Sure.
I am supporting him just because of that. I'm ready to forgive all other weaknesses.
But did Garba Shehu need to go beyond asserting that his boss is who everybody knows him to be and just end the statement there? To now throw it back.
Garba Shehu is a Nigerian. He has every right to say what he knows people need to hear.
Okay.
The question, Uncle Yori, the question is, what he's saying or what he said, is it true or false?
It needs to be proven.
People are asking for proof.
Which proof? I just gave you some examples now.
Those are not enough proofs, legally speaking.
I hear you.
What further proof do you want from Garba Shehu?
Okay.
Show me one business that Buhari is running in this country or outside Nigeria that he allegedly set up with our money.
Okay.
Show me one.
Okay. I
think which more proof do we want again?
I think I'll just let go of you, Mr. George.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in. So, as we said, if Garba Shehu was quoted rightly, there are those that this matter concerns them. As I said, people who have served former leaders have spoken up. Say, go ahead and name them. What are you trying to say? But at the same time, Mr. George is saying that hey,
maybe the statement speaks for itself.
Take a look at the lie of the ground, and then come and tell me Garba Shehu is wrong.
I think it's okay to look at whatever we have to look at, as long as Nigerians benefit from it. Because, like I said, I don't want us to take our eyes away from the ball. So we are.
But in this particular, what is the ball in this particular? Because the ball is very delicate. In fact, George was playing very, very delicate basketball there. You know, the ball.
He was kicking from his own angle. Not a problem. My concern is, so we have 24 hours in a day. It is good that Mr. Bello, Shehu Bello, have decided, Garuba Shehu,
Malam.
has decided to say what he has said. But my concern is, in what way does that positively impact on having a better Nigeria? You see, those are the things we need to continue to look at.
Well, I think the point he was making is that Nigeria is on a new lease of life. That, look, it's not business as usual. This time, the president we have, he does things, what is that word you used that George also said, without concern for personal gain and that kind of a thing.
That is very good.
That is very good, and the statement might have stopped there.
You see,
but Garuba chose to add to the statement.
So, I mean, that is good for Nigerians, and it is for our benefit. But what we're saying is, can we start to look at what ways to make sure that that is better? Can we do better? Okay. Because this idea of dwelling on the past, I keep wondering, in what
way is it serving?
Yes.
Let me bring in Prince. Prince in Magodo, good morning. Chris, it is Chris in Ogudu. Good morning, sir. Okay. And just as I was announcing your name, Chris, simultaneously we lost the call. So sorry that we missed you there. See if you can get in again in the next few seconds. Maybe we'll be luckier. Okay, so I get what you're saying. What's this matter about the throwback?
Yes.
Why dwelling on the past? You know, that's similar to what I said, that, look, if you had limited the statement to it's a new dawn, we're in a new dispensation.
You know, projecting the strength
from
of
here,
his own
we probably will never look back. I don't know. Let the professionals phrase it the way they want to phrase it.
It's not about the individual,
but
it's about the office. It's about the betterment and the upliftment of Nigerians. Look, there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, but some of those past presidents self. You know, some of them self. In terms of talk, in terms of criticism, they are not reticent. So maybe Garuba Shehu had it up to here.
I guess. Maybe that helps us in one way or the other. Maybe this discourse helps us in one way or the other. But I'm saying that as we look at all of this, can we still say, what can we do to make our lives better? Because at the end of it, that's our concern.
That should be the focus.
Indeed. Let me bring in Tunde from Minna. Good morning, Mr. Tunde in Minna.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling. It's just Yori. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. I'm talking to the people in your studio.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are asking of proof. What proof are they looking for? What proof are they looking for?
It's not even people in my studio, Gogo.
The one asking
it's not. It's you know. You've you know. There are a lot of people who are saying that. Look, prove it. You know, Afenifere. You know.
Obasanjo was the president of this country, 1999.
Chief ABC Nwosu.
How many countries did he travel to? How many countries did he travel to? And we know the type of wealth that most of them have gathered. So there's no any proof. Buhari is an honest man that everybody knows. So.
Oh, we lost.
Well, NEPA joined in the matter. Yeah. You know, we're saying the same thing. Buhari is an honest man.
Nobody has any
perception.
issue with that.
Nobody has any issue with that.
We're not contesting that.
And if Mr. Shehu, if Malam Garuba Shehu
had stopped that, no one will.
There won't be any conversation.
No one will want to controvert him.
Preaching to the converted.
You know, no one will want to controvert him.
The added date, was it a faux pas? As I was saying, Garuba Shehu is not one of those
I will regard it as a faux pas.
You think so?
I think I will regard it as such. I will regard it as such because I don't know now where, you know, how I wish one can hear from Garuba Shehu directly that what exactly
informed,
because it was an outburst. What informed that outburst?
What informed this? Well, I wish that one would be able to ask him. But, you know, as a professional, I know that, you know, there is nothing wrong in projecting the image of your person. There is nothing wrong in that. You know, what is ethically wrong is, you know, in trying to project, taking up, and running down, another person. That for me is not
and that
professionally.
running down came in the 3 words or so, 2 words, unlike past leaders. He is not interested or doesn't care about
whoever that person is,
gratification or what's in it for me, that kind of a thing.
So even though, a lot of our callers have said that, there are proofs and all that, these proofs, how legally sustainable can they be? You understand? Because you need to look at, if you are asked to come and, provide your evidence in court, will you say he has this? You have to be able to, so...
I would even kind of stay away from standing in for anyone. And because for me, whoever has done wrong should be... we should bring them to book. What we're just saying is we must be careful the way we manage public communication. It's something, it is.
In the political
space. That is our own concern.
Because we're not just, the information is not isolated. You have it shared across the world. Is that the kind of narrative that we want out there? Now, and in what way does that help us?
And if this statement had been made by anybody but the official presidential spokesperson,
you probably would have passed.
Oh, well, it might have passed. It might have passed with very little comment.
Yes,
of course. But that coming from inside here, that is inside the administration itself. Enough said about that. It is what it is. I think the part of it that we can agree with is that the perception Nigerians and even those beyond Nigeria have about President Muhammadu Buhari is
positive.
That it's a positive, he's an upright man, and all of that.
Very good.
Yes. But it's just that Malam Garba decided to now...
He went overboard.
a little more.
He went overboard.
Thank you very much, Sheyi Adeyemo.
Thank you so much for having
publisher and public affairs analyst. And thank you very much, Mr. Ademola Degoke, as well, for sharing your insights with us. And thank you also at home, because the program wouldn't be the same without your call. So sorry that we missed the call that we did miss. But, it happens from time to time. So that's our program today. So please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.